everybody, to Tectonic Takes. This is actually a special part 2 podcast that we're going to do with Quincy Amarikwa. We got to cut a little bit short. Quincy had some important things to do, but let's welcome him back in. What's up, Quincy? How you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm happy to be back and glad we were able to get something on the calendar quick and go for part 2.
Yeah, we really appreciate you coming on. Thank you for your time again. We totally understand that you could not make the first part all the way just because of the Black Players for Change meeting that you had, and we appreciate all the things you do in that regard. Thank you.
Awesome. Right. I appreciate it, guys.
Yeah, and we do want to reiterate that Favian and I, not just as members of this podcast, but just as soccer fans and people, that we completely support all these movements that are going on within the U.S. soccer system and in a greater scope involving bridging that gap that still exists in our society between people of color and everyone else, and making sure that we make important strides so that people do have the equality that we've been searching for so long.
Awesome, man. No, I appreciate you guys saying that. And yeah, I think what's required is having conversations and being open to the idea that you might be wrong. So I think we talked about it a little bit in part 1, right? I really appreciate the work you guys are doing, and I think it's really important. And yeah, I'm happy to continue the conversation for part 2. So let's do it.
All right. Well, we're going to get right back into it. We have a couple of fan questions throughout the podcast. So we'll go ahead and ask you those. And we also have some questions that we made. So we'll go ahead and ask you those as well. So the first one is basically we have a fan question. Chris Nguyen asked, because we were on the topic of UC Davis, what's your favorite eating spot in Davis?
Oh, man. People ask me that, but I got an answer. Hunan's restaurant. They had like a
nice
$5 lunch special that was bomb. It's like I feel like it was like a noodle chow mein, rice, like a meat, you get, what was it? It was honey. Now putting me on the spot. The sesame chicken was the one that I always went to. So it was like sesame chicken, steamed rice, but you could get fried rice as well too. Noodles. You got this salad. It's like a super standard salad, but the dressing they put on it, I don't know what it is. It's like it's so good. It was
$5.
Yeah, $5. It's like $5, depending on what you got. It's like anywhere from $5 to like $6.25 if you wanted to get super fancy. They had it was like a pecan
walnut prawn.
Yeah, like something like prawns or something like that. And then you got like a fried crab cheese wonton and tea and water.
Wow.
So yeah. I especially in college, like money was hard to come by. So when you could get when you could get a bunch of food bang for your buck, I always liked Hunan's restaurant there. Yeah, that's my go-to.
Right, and especially as a student athlete, you have only so many hours of the day. You spend a lot of time at games and practice, in classes. You gotta get sleep as well. So having places to go to where you weren't spending a lot of money, it's something that all students can appreciate, but it does go undermentioned sometimes what student athletes go through.
Yeah, I guess you don't. I guess the beauty of youth, right? Or the whole ignorance is bliss. When you don't know, and you're just surviving, which is basically what everybody's doing, right? You're trying to figure out how to survive. I guess when you get to the other side or far enough in the process and you can look back, right, you can also go like, yeah, man, there's a lot of stuff you have to learn and you have to manage and you have to get through and figure out how to make work. So having said that, those are also some of the most fun times. You know what I mean? That's like figuring it out, not knowing. You don't know. You're young, you're enthusiastic, you're just like, all right, I got $5. Let's go. Or I have $0. How do I get 5? So and then how do I pass my class and how do I stay awake, but how do I keep a social life? How do I prepare for this? So to your point, You guys are bringing back the memories, man.
That's good.
Yeah. For me, since I graduated UC Davis in 2017 and I finished my master's program at San Francisco State University at 2019, it doesn't feel too long ago just yet where I was living that college lifestyle, but it does really stick with you, and you learn a lot about yourself. You learn a lot, not just through your classes, of course, but in every part of life that you interact with, the people that you surround yourself with. It's an incredible experience. And to wrap up the food question for me personally, it's a three-way tie for me. When I was craving Mexican food, I loved Taqueria Guadalajara. When I was craving pizza, Woodstock's pizza was great. And
okay, yeah, that was a lot of people really loved Woodstock's pizza. And I was trying to think about it. I was like, on the spot, my go-to was the Hunans, but a lot of people really love Woodstock pizza.
And then lastly, Open Rice Kitchen, just all sorts of Asian foods cravings were satisfied there for good prices. And I maybe had boba 3 or 4 times in my whole life before college, partially due to Open Rice Kitchen. I had boba at least a few times a month, sometimes multiple times a week in UC Davis. So.
Yes, I didn't. I don't think I ever went there. I'm trying to think. The first time I had boba. That's what it's called, right? Boba?
Yeah.
Boba tea. The boba is technically the jelly thing inside the tea.
The tea, right?
Yeah. The tapioca ball, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think the first time I had it with Aaron Flowers was, he's my friend, obviously.
No.
I was thinking teammate. I was going to say, he was my teammate back in, but he wasn't my teammate. He was just my friend. We were both exercise bio majors doing pre-med when we were at Davis.
Oh, wow.
So we spent a bunch of time together, obviously. And we also, we started our production company. We were music producers in college as well, too. So Q&A Productions. So shout out to Aaron on that.
All right.
We recently brought back some of our produced music and put it in some of the content that we're posting on the VPC stuff because we need to have free music.
Yeah.
Well, I own it. So there you go.
Yeah.
Put that on. So shout out Aaron. We went to Hunan's plenty of times in college. But I think that was the first time I ever tried boba. And then I lost touch with boba for a long period of time. But then I ended up having boba again when I was back in San Jose, my second stint. Because
Right.
Aaron was working for Kaiser, so he's a podiatrist now. Or he's not in San Jose now, but when the second time I came back, he was doing his, what was he doing? He was doing his residency.
Okay.
Around, what was that, 2017, 16, 17, 18. And then I got reintroduced to boba again. So, see, there you guys are tapping. Connections.
Well, I mean, at least now where you in college, you were a music producer. At least you can use that audio engineering to make your podcast, right? And to do things like that, make content. So
there's a lot of skill sets and stuff that I learned while in college, learning to survive, and just because it was just fun and I was having fun with my friends.
Right.
Okay, fun story. Speaking of that, like I said, my goal has always been to be the greatest teammate of all time, but it's been whatever industry or thing that I'm a part of, right? And I'm in. And I think what I'm extremely good at is the same thing that I'm extremely bad at, which is seeing unlimited potential in everybody I'm looking at, right? So that's great because it's like, yes, we can do it. We're gonna create Apple. We're gonna create Amazon, right? Doesn't matter. We can do it. But it's also like, that's a huge weakness as well too, because like, okay, we're everyone always, all the time. So like, totally
understand. Yeah,
that's been where I'm at. But the reason why I say that is, in college, Aaron not only had, but has a very talented ear, and I could see that he was really good at music, and we would sample songs. A lot of songs that we were sampling and beats and music that we were making ended up becoming like songs that were sampled by major producers several years later, and we'd hear them on the radio. So we'd be talking about it and be like, oh, remember when we sampled that song like 10 years ago, 11 years ago? But I was basically, and I wonder if he remembers the conversation. I basically told him, I said, hey, listen, I think you're amazing at this, and if we do this for like 10 years, we're going to make it. So I'll just quit. I'll quit right now, and I'll support you in your music career if you make the decision right now. I'm on board, bro. I believe in you. We can do it.
That's
so
awesome.
we were doing all that, but we were doing, you know what I mean, pre-med, and basically the practical decisions. Like, listen, we didn't get to Davis and going for medical school. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Doing pre-med to go become doctors, to drop out and become music producers.
Yeah.
So like, we kind of tabled it, and we just have fun and do that. And the thought and idea was like, all right, well, once we're done and we have that, we can always come back. So now this is my way of looping him back in on that and seeing if I can bring those memories out of him.
Yeah.
You know, make him want to get back into the music production game, because that would be fun, man.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm at the part of my career where I'm like, hey,
let's do it.
Let's go. I get to have fun now.
I myself was a music producer, so it's easier to do the audio engineering for this podcast because I already it's like clockwork. So that's
what do you use? What
DAW?
Sorry?
What DAW? I used Mixcraft.
Mixcraft. Oh, okay.
Wait, were you on Fruity Loops, FL Studios?
Oh, we started on FL Studios, and then okay, again, tapping in, right?
Yeah.
Last time I made a beat, right? That was when I was in Colorado. I would do that for fun in my time. Audacity a little bit, but that was just to mess with samples and stuff.
Yeah.
Then Ableton. It's Ableton, right?
Live. Yep. Ableton.
That one, yes, I like that one the most. I got pretty heavy into that one, and then you got all the kits and all the plugins that you can buy. And then trying to justify spending like hundreds, sometimes $1,000 on like
on these studios. Yeah.
Contemplating downloading them illegally off of like torrent, but not wanting to get like a virus. And
right.
Yeah.
All right. All right. Quincy does his stuff.
A little bit, bro. A little bit. The Q&A, bro. Questions and answers.
All right.
Yep. Next question. So you talked a little bit in part one about your heritage coming from German, Nigerian, and Native American ancestry. How has your ancestry become a part of who you are today?
That is a loaded question, and we can start anywhere. So are we answering this philosophically, or like it's an open forum?
Answer it how you want it, right?
Yeah, it's up to you.
That's like opening Pandora's box then, huh?
Yeah, we do feel like it's important because from a soccer perspective, everyone is given a FIFA nationality, and it's easy to put everyone in those boxes. But especially in multicultural countries such as the United States, everyone draws something from other places too.
That is very true, but not everybody sees it that way, right?
Yeah.
And
right.
And I think this is why I either you're a fan of mine and you get on board with me, or I turn you off immediately and like you're denying yourself the Quincy time experience, right? Because it takes time, and that's the thing that I think everybody dislikes the most, because we want everything right now. What are you? What's a category? I want to understand who you are based on just whatever label I want to put on you, because it makes it easier for me to ignore you or make justifications for why I'm okay with this or not that. We're hypocrites at the end of the day, right? All of us. We're just walking hypocrites. We're ignorant of something at all times. We think we're right because we do. You know what I mean? We have our skewed perspective. We have our beliefs, our limited beliefs, our who we are. So basically, what we're talking about is identity when I'm setting context for this. That's
exactly.
Philosophically, because there's what I identify as and how I see myself and what I believe myself to be and how that's influenced me. But I also am who I am based on what other people assume about me based on their preconceived notions of who I am when they show up and look at me. So that's kind of a loaded way to answer your question, right? I'm not naive as to people aren't the biggest issue that most people have when they interact with me and see me is they don't know what box to put me in.
Yeah.
And because of that, it makes it very difficult for them to justify why they put me on their team or they have me a part of what they're doing or trust me, right? So it's like, is he Latino? Does he speak Spanish? Is he Puerto Rican? Is he Samoan? Is he native? Is he black? Wait, he's African. Well, hold on, you're German. That doesn't make sense. So it takes time to explain to people, and most people don't want to give you the time of day to allow you to explain yourself because they just want to know, and they feel they have the right to know because they asked. So I had to learn to survive understanding that from where I came from. And most people don't understand that, which is why they don't understand how difficult they make it for people who don't look like them or come from where they come from to be successful or to get opportunities or to have that access to equity, you know, and the equality that everyone says and puts on a bumper sticker. But when you talk about the process of what it takes to make something equitable, most people don't have the time, the will, the energy, the passion to put the work to make that happen. Because it's way easier to just put the bumper sticker up than it is to create the entire infrastructure, systems and processes to create the factory, employ the people, create all the processes to get the materials, put them together, then package it up and ship it to your house so then you can peel it and put it on your car.
Yeah.
That's what people, so people say, oh, well, I bought it, I peeled it, and I put it on the car. And I'm like, the tens and thousands of human hours that went into getting to a point to where you just had to click a button, take a bumper sticker, put it on the car.
Yeah.
But you'll take all the credit for all the work because you put it on the bump. You put the bumper sticker. So, setting context, right? That is the thing that I believe is of most value and most important in terms of saying I can see both sides. I understand why people don't want to do the work to make the bumper sticker. They just want to buy it and put it on the car and feel like they're doing something, right? But there are the people that have to do all the work so that you can click the button and put the bumper sticker on. And if you're the person who did all the work to make it push button easy for someone to put the bumper sticker on, I can also see how those people become very bitter and unwilling to like compromise on anything because they're going like, those who didn't do that work can't understand what they sacrificed and what went into making it push button easy. Right. So I think that's very relevant and relative, because we're talking about relativity, a lot of stuff talking about here in outer space, right? To the point in time, I believe we are all going through in the human experience, right? We're trying to find a relative common thread. And I think the pandemic has humanized everybody because it's a common shared experience that we can all refer to now collectively. So I think it's like a paradigm shift of like humanity, consciousness, all that stuff. I think that what we're talking about in this as well too is very relative to in terms of, hey, how do you identify yourself and how is that manifested based on your history, right? So the label you're given is when you're born. So you're born into the world and you're told what your heritage is, or you're lied about what your heritage is and your history is, or you aren't told at all, right? So someone tells you it's accurate. No one tells you. I just went through the three things right there, right? So you guys are following what I'm talking about. Okay, so sorry. The main goal and point is like, but maybe you don't identify with what is there, or the world you're existing in doesn't make sense as to the story you've been told up to this point in time. So now maybe you're going into the world to do your own research to figure it out, or maybe you're doing no research because you don't care. Like everyone has their choice, and all of our choices and decisions manifest themselves given enough amount of time into the world that surrounds us, right? So again, the reason why before I answer the question, I set context for many, many things. Because I understand that I don't, in this moment, know who will ever watch this, who will listen to this, and what their worldview is, what their experience is, where they come from, how they identify, how they've been treated, what they think of themselves, what they think of others up to this point in time, right? And if the context I set doesn't account for all the potential people who exist today and all the potential people who can and potentially exist in the future or already exist right now, but is just outside of our awareness and consciousness. Like if you're someone who believes in multiverse theory and other worlds, Okay, so like we can go real deep. That's why I say it's the Quinspiracy. I like it. Right? That's why it's so massively important to set that context before now we're making this box, right? Or setting a box in, because I realized and understood that my history and my experience and being the firstborn told me I am all of these things. I'm multicultural. I'm across the world. Like there's very limited perspectives and information and identities that are part of my identity in my history, as well as where I am today and my personal experience.
Right.
So, but I would interact with people who denied my experience based on what they perceived me to be from their own perspective in that moment.
And have you had that, like, let's say in your professional field? Have you had that in soccer? Have you ever experienced that?
Yes.
Yes. Yeah. And like, do you have an example of which one kind of like really hits you?
It's like death by 1,000 cuts. So I've had over. So most people immediately go to race, right? Like, okay, well, have you had experiences that have been? Have you had negative experiences due to the fact based on the color of your skin? Yes. Yeah. Yes. Right. But the main thing that I like to make sure I set context for as well, too, for the individual who believes that nothing has to do with race, because people exist who believe that, right? I say to that individual, look, I don't want race to be the reason why I don't have an opportunity, because that is something I cannot change.
Right.
So the last thing I want it to be, the one thing I don't want it to be is race. I want it to be, I'm not qualified. I'm not good enough. I haven't done enough work. I don't know enough things. I'm not intelligent enough. I'm not smiling at the right time. My tone isn't correct, right? These are all things I can work on. I can improve. I can change. I cannot change my complexion, right? I cannot do that. And then if we're talking about relatively in person yet, there isn't someone who's developed that technology, or they have, and I haven't found out about that yet, right? But on the internet, that is no longer a factor, right? So someone can create an avatar of themselves and operate, and that's what I think people of color have learned, because you go out in the actual world and everyone tells you that race has nothing to do with any of the reasons why they're treating you the way that you do, but there's just a lot of stuff that isn't adding up,
right?
And they're telling you you're wrong, so then you have to think you're crazy, you're doubting yourself, you're doing all this. But maybe I'm over here on the computer and I'm testing new ideas and I'm doing new things and I'm A/B split testing stuff, and when I have a black picture up, no responses, no nothing. When I put a white picture up, I get responses. You get what I'm saying? So like there's ways in which we can test and see these things, and you're going like, and again, to the individual who thinks race never has anything to do with it, or we're always using race to overcorrect, or all that kind of stuff, I'm saying, yeah, well, at the end of the day, I don't want that to be the case. Right?
Right.
And then when I say death by 1,000,000 cuts, most individuals understand that race is a huge issue, one that you either avoid talking about, which proves the point of it being an issue when it's a problem, or one that you don't think is worth talking about, or you think, it's just small, it's just little things. And that's where I said it's death by 1,000 cuts.
Right.
Because if most people don't think anything has to do with race ever, but the mass collection of people all believe that, and you're the one individual who has the microaggression, so you've heard microaggressions and micro experience from every single person in your experience over time in that system, relative to the people here, there is no racism, or there is no discrimination, there is no but relative to me and my individual experience, my whole experience has been denying of access to things that I see of abundance around me that my peers have access to, but there's no pathway for me. But the people who are looking at it tell me, well, no, it's because, you don't understand, or you're too emotional, you're too this, you're too aggressive, you don't have enough personal. Okay, so my aggression is okay on the field at the right times, but not in the right direction. Not if the ref is mad at this person at this time. Okay, I can speak up, but not unless someone who doesn't look like me gives me permission to speak first. But if nobody else recognizes that or knows that, then relative to me, I can't have a conversation with somebody because they can't see my experience.
Right.
So I say all that to further say that these conversations and giving me this opportunity to speak and to share and to be open, right? During a time where people, for the first time in my experience, have ever been open to receiving this message and considering that they might be wrong, is why I'm so grateful. I think like what you guys are doing is massive. I think it's amazing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, and I really appreciate it. And I
Thank you.
just, yeah, I just don't, I understand why people don't understand why this is such a big deal and why it's so important to some people. Because it's going like, it hasn't been your experience, right? And unless you think all the people complaining came together and are having private conversations and meetings and have been for 50 years with outside of your awareness, strategically talking about lying to you about an experience that we're having that you can't see, at what point in time does it not sound we're not the crazy ones? You get what I'm saying? So again, it's relativity. I think that this is just the time where we're all coming to that collective understanding as humans. So that is my answer to your question as to how you know what I mean? Like how it impacted me and influenced me. It's done so in such a manner that for me, I believe it is extremely important to set context for everything that we're doing and what we're talking about here, understanding the access that everyone has to take video content, audio content, and chop it down and chop it up, chop and screw it, and make it sound and look like whatever you want.
Right.
Like at all of this, you can take everything that I'm saying out of context and make me look like the worst human being ever.
Yeah.
Or you can make me look like the best. Right?
Definitely.
Yeah, and I guess that's the point that I'm trying to make. Like, we're all of it. I'm a horrible person sometimes. I'm an amazing person sometimes. And like, that's human. That's human nature. That's where we are. And if you catch me at the wrong time in the wrong place, it's just one sliver of experience. And if you're making your full and complete decision as to who that person is and every other person who might kind of look like them to you for the rest of your life, like that's where I'm going like, hey, that's where it's not equitable. That's where it's not fair. It's saying like, hey, relatively speaking here, you're not giving enough opportunities to prove yourself wrong, to be so certain about what you think of the person across from you who you've invested zero time in.
Right.
And yeah, so love this, man.
This is great.
Yeah.
I'm 100% sure that all of our viewers our listeners are gonna love this because we brought this up in a couple of our podcasts, so this is just perfect as well. And we appreciate you talking and so in depth. That's perfect for everybody to understand that doesn't understand. So we appreciate that.
All right. So we got another question for you. So growing up, you probably watched a lot of soccer. You followed the different leagues to various extents. Which leagues / clubs did you follow and support growing up prior to your professional career?
Okay, so this is a huge reason why my professional career has been exponentially harder than it needed to be. And I know that now. I didn't understand why it was so hard for me in the beginning. And it's because I didn't watch any soccer growing up. I didn't follow any teams. I didn't have a favorite player. I was not interested in anything other than just playing soccer because I enjoyed it.
Right.
And the way I learned the game was by learning to get to the level and past the level of the people that I'm playing with at that particular time.
Yeah.
So when I show up, I'm the worst in whatever level in world I'm on. But what I got really good at and got hyper focused on optimizing for was learning from the players around me, what makes them good, what makes them bad, how to exploit. I think we talked about the first one, right?
Yeah.
Each is a system of thinking and a system of play. That's why my whole brand, MSL, Mental Strength League, I'm thinking of the mentality side of it, and breaking that down and then exploiting those exploiting that. I can better articulate what my process is now. I couldn't then. I've been working on my communication over this time. But the point is, I show up, I'm the worst, everyone sees me as the worst, so they've already made that decision in their mind that I'm the worst player. I figure out how to survive and stick around long enough to learn, then I eventually get good, and I raise to the level of the players around me, and then I eventually beat them. Then that means the next level sees me at the end, like at the last moment, and then I get brought to the next one. And then I'm the worst, same thing again. That's my process. So I'm always at the bottom, and then I just keep making my way up.
Yeah.
Right. So in that process of just playing the game because I enjoyed it and I loved it, and because I'm just extremely, extremely competitive, I want to win. So fun to me is winning. So I'm figuring out how to win. And shout out to Dwayne Schaefer at UC Davis, right? The thing that he would always say in college that resonated very much with me is learn to win, right? Learn to win. Like most people will, that's not the way to play. It's not a beautiful game, tiki-taka, this, that, and the other. The name of the game is put the ball in that net more times than you put it in mine.
Right.
I don't care if you score 15 goals on me if I score 16. And I don't care if I only score 1 goal. And the game is ugly and, oh, you guys don't like it. I win. Right? So if I think you can tiki-taka me, then no. We're not playing that game today. I'm messing that up. We're not playing that game today. We're playing the game that I know we can win today.
Okay.
You're weak mentally? Great. We're playing the mental strong game today. You can't hang physically? Okay, great. It's just a battle today. Oh, you're a forward. Yeah, I know I'm a forward, but no, I'm defending you today. You're the center back. I'm the forward. I'm defending you. No, because I know I'll disrupt you completely to the point. My outside midfielder is going to be able to cut in and shoot and bang a goal on you, and I'll have nothing to do with it. No one will see me. I won't be on the stat sheet, but I know and you know it's your fault. You're the reason why you lost today, and you're going to have to go home and you're going to think about it. Next time I play you, I'm going to ask you if you remember, and I already know the answer because I see it on your face.
Yeah.
You don't want to play today. Go tell the coach to sub you out. Yep. Like you're injured? Yeah, you pulled your hamstring? Okay. Okay? So that's the game, right? That's the game we're playing. So my point is, that was my process through the system. By the time I got to so background, I think I'd mentioned in the last one, right? I played high school soccer. I was on the JV team. I was on the JV team my first year, did very well. Then I made varsity my second year, didn't play at all. Like I said, you're starting out and like people see you how they do and you just make your way up. Okay, great. I get to senior year, no recruitments, no scholarship offers, no nothing. I just assume I must not be good enough to play soccer. That's okay. My plan was to go to UC Berkeley because I got in there academically, and I was going to try to walk on to the track and field team because I had the pole vaulting record at Liberty, right? At Liberty High School. It wasn't until the last game of my last tournament in my club career that we made it far enough. I think it was Nomads tournament was the tournament that I was in. And I was a 16-year-old senior, so I was young. So because I'm Nigerian, everything starts early and right away. So 16 years old as a senior. And we make it far enough in the tournament that we have a game at like 9:00 at night on Sunday. It's my last game, right? Yeah. And 2 coaches, one of which is Dwayne Schaefer, happened to be at that game, recruiting the next year out and watching the defenders on the other team. And in that game, I got seen and brought on a recruitment and offered a scholarship in that one game. And the Perfect Soccer brand, what we talk about when we wrote our first book, The Perfect Soccer Player Blueprint, with Ross LeBeau, his was the complete opposite. He did everything he needed to do. He had 25 recruitment offers when he's done. I did everything that you're not supposed to. I did it the way you're not supposed to, right? But I made it. So, like, I'm talking about how I was always at the bottom. I make my way up, and then at the very last moment, I kept up. Okay, so I go to Davis. I'm there those 4 years. By the time I get to my senior year, I have I think 15 goals my senior year, the bicycle kick goal of the year, all that kind of stuff, and I eventually get invited to the combine. Right. So that's the first time I ever thought of professional soccer and like watched it or even considered it. Wow. Right? It was when I was there during that time. So now I'm coming into the pro soccer space and world. And I know it's kind of a long backstory to my point.
That's fine.
Because at this point, I did not know how disrespectful I was being to all the guys around me in not knowing how World Cup works, how Champions League works, how English Premier League works. They could show me their soccer hero on a piece of paper or on the, on their phone, or say their name. Like,
who?
I have no idea who you are talking about. Like,
wow.
Zero frame of reference. So, like, if that's how I'm showing up into the professional world, right? No connection, no understanding of soccer culture, no person I'm looking to that I'm emulating, other than I'm talking about like, oh, but I know this kid I played with back in Bakersfield, California, Tony, amazing. They're like, what? You know what I mean? Like, no one I played with played beyond. No one I played club with went D1. I think one player of mine went D1. He came, Stephen Cunningham. He came for my club team to Davis, but nobody I played with at Davis made it pro, right? So
yeah.
Yes, so I'm here.
Yeah.
Network, don't know how agents work, don't know how soccer works, don't know MLS, don't know anybody, don't know players, don't know anyone. You know what I mean? I don't know anything.
Yeah.
So when people are trying to talk and connect with me, what do we connect over? I'm not watching. I'm not interested. I'm just interested in learning how to beat you in training today. That's what my focus is. And everybody in general, right? I won't say everybody, but I'll say in general, the idea is more like, this guy doesn't get it. He's not going to last long. So no one's necessarily mentoring me, taking me under their wing, teaching me stuff. So to my point, it was exponentially harder. And I didn't know why then. I just knew that, wow, this just must be pro. You know? Yeah, it makes sense. Pro should be hard.
Right.
So that's where ignorance helps you. Like we were talking about earlier in college. Yeah. Well, when you don't know, you're just surviving. You're doing the best that you can.
Right.
Now that I look back, I can see how hard that made it for me. I now have a much better understanding of the game, right? People, players, but mainly because it's players I've played with over time, and continue that approach. So that is my long-winded answer to your question, while also setting context and understanding, like, I guess, understanding the role I played in making it difficult on myself.
Yeah, this is great. We get to learn about the player who you were and what made it your drive to actually do better every time you get to a team, which is evident with every team. You do make a big impact, at least enough to sometimes make the playoffs as well.
Appreciate that.
Yeah. On a little lighthearted note, we're gonna go to some Quakes stuff. All right. These are basically we're gonna ask, since we are a Quakes podcast, we're gonna ask some Quakes questions. Let me go ahead and start off. I'm going to go ahead and say, what was the first impression of the San Jose Earthquakes when you arrived the first time?
Oh, okay. Yeah. So I was setting you guys in context. So like I said, either people are on board or they're like, someone's got to shut up. I'm like, I'm in your head. If you're telling me to shut up, I'm in your head. Thank you, MSL. I win. In your head, you go, God, oh man, I wish this guy would shut up. Then I win. So we played a game. We're playing a game. You weren't even where we're playing, and I won it. In your head. So the first time I'm coming to, so I could tell a couple of stories, but
yeah,
the first time I'm with the San Jose Earthquakes and I sign with them, I'm impressed. Though knowing what I know now, I shouldn't have been. Okay, so we're at Buckshaw Stadium, right, which is Santa Clara Stadium, so it's college. So it's basically rented, right? Means we don't really have a locker room, but we have a locker room, but it's very, very small. Basically, like the size of the bedroom I'm in right now, not this outer space that I'm in, right? But that's bigger than the locker room I had at Davis because I didn't have one. So I'm like, I got a locker room. And then we have a kit man who washes our clothes. And I'm like, yo, this is amazing. I don't have to wash my own clothes because I really usually didn't because I was too lazy in college and you just wearing the same stuff. Maybe you're washing like once a week, right?
No laundry.
Yeah, no laundry. Like, I'm not paying for that.
Nobody.
That's how you punons or wash these clothes. Nah, I'm doing African style. I'm washing it in the sink, hang dry it. The number of people probably look at me as do that. I'm like, I don't care. I don't care.
Quincy would wear his old game uniform so you get some more separation from the defenders. Is that what you do?
Advantage that I can get, I'm taking it. And when you can learn to just like not care what people think of, gives you a huge advantage. And I have the mental capacity to focus on other things, right? Test new ideas.
Right.
Yeah. So I was looking at it like that. I was like, hey, this is pretty cool. I'm at Mariani's Inn, which is not the greatest of motel. It's basically like a Motel 6, like 2 miles up the street with not the most favorable people living in the place, but hey, it's affordable.
Right.
And it's close to the stadium, and I can just, I can take a nap, then I can drive back to Davis and I can finish my classes and keep going to school. So for me, I was just like, yo, this is dope. I'm paid to play soccer. I'm figuring stuff out, whatever. But I'd hear a lot of guys, moaning and complaining about this isn't good enough and that isn't good enough. And I'd be like, to me, I didn't understand why they were complaining about it.
Right.
This guy played in Europe and that guy played here and he made, X million dollars and all that. Okay, I get it. That makes sense. Like if you're used to that standard, but I'm like, the standard for me is always increasing. It's not a whole lot, but it's whatever. Like that's how I'm looking at it. Right.
Right.
So that was my overall like first impressions, just kind of like being a part of it. And then I'm just like, all right, the fans are dope. The atmosphere, it's just like, it's cool. Like at the end of the day, you're being paid to play. And I'm thinking like, yo, MLS is going to be huge, like NFL, MLB in 10 years. I'm thinking about building a business and owning an MLS team one day. And like, this is great because now these are things that I can improve when I own a club. That will give me an advantage over. I'm looking at it as data collection, experiences, learning. That's how I'm looking at it. And I don't fully understand why other guys are approaching it the way that they do. But I also have to recognize that, well, a lot of them have a lot more than me, so they must know something I don't know. So that goes into alignment where I'm saying, like, I don't think I know everything. So I believe I know everything, obviously, right? Like I believe I know a lot, and I believe I know I'm good at what I do. I believe in myself. But I also I believe I'm wrong about things, and I'm open to the idea that I could be wrong. So like, I'm very confident. I believe I'm right. But the moment I have information, data to show me that I'm wrong, I'm like, all right, cool. I was wrong. I apologize, but now I'm right because I understand it. Right. And that's something that most people love and hate about me because it's just like, whatever. So there was that. Yeah. I can keep going on to other stuff, but that was my first.
That's good.
Those were my first things, and that was like my first kind of introduction, and I didn't know all that kind of stuff. That was the first time I ever saw 5v2. So, yeah, so like, I was like, what is this? What game is this? They're like, what are you talking about? This is 5v2. And I'm like, what are the rules? How does this play? I'm trying to play, and I'm shielding in it. And they're looking at me like, what are you doing? And I'm like, what? They're like, what? Why are you shielding? I'm like, because my touch wasn't good enough yet, right? Like I was trying to figure it out, but I was losing the ball and I kept going in the middle, and I'm like, yo, I'm good at shielding. Fine, here, I'm shielding. The guy in the middle can't get the ball. You kick it this way. Cool. Like, what do you do? I'm like, I'm a target forward. What's this game? I don't know. And I'm like, I'm sick of going in the middle. No.
I'm done.
So that gives you context as to where I
Definitely.
everything brand new, and I'm just
massive shift.
Oh, so much. I remember one of the very first training sessions. We're playing like 11v11, right? And my only focus is like I told you, win, score goals, win. Okay, beat your defender, turn. Every time the ball comes in, turn. You're good at it. Just turn, go to goal. Turn, go to goal. Turn, goal. That's it. So that's what I was doing, right? So there, and Yallop goes, Quincy, lay it off for the midfielder so he can join. And in my brain, I was like, what?
Mm-hmm.
I remember in my mind, I said, why? I didn't say it to him, but in my brain, I was like, why would I do that? I can turn this guy every time. He's terrible, right? I'm like, I'm going to him to join in? What? Obviously, I understand now, right? But at that time, that's where I was at. So then I'm trying to lay the ball off to this guy, and I don't have enough practice at that. I haven't done that. So I'm like losing the ball, and that's where I had a real moment with myself where I'm thinking like, maybe I'm not good enough to play pro because I can't make this like 4-yard back pass to this dude. This is super hard for me, but this is the easiest thing for everybody else. But the things that are really hard for everybody else, I can do really easily. You know,
Right.
like turning guys, holding up the ball, bicycle kick, all that. That's easy to me. Like that's fun. That's why I play the game. These like short passes, back passes, and all that. I was like, this is terrible. I don't enjoy this.
Right.
But then you learn what pro is, and most of pro is doing all the stuff that you don't enjoy.
Yeah.
And that's why you're paid. That's why you're paid. So that's where you learn quickly, oh, this is no longer fun. This is a job. You can have fun doing it. You can find joy in it. But the number one thing at pro isn't fun. That's going into like what being a professional is and why I caution kids who want to be pro. The reasons why you love the game and you fell in love with the game are the things that people will use against you when you go pro. Those will be the things that they take away from you and hold over your head. And the pro experience is not the youth experience and that it's completely different. It's a job. And the guys who understand that have a chance of making it and having a long career. The guys who don't have a long career. And that's just kind of how it works.
Right.
But yeah, that's like where I started, and that's what it. So hopefully, most players probably are starting farther along than I was. Yeah. Even when they're here, like, wait, hold on, you made it 11 plus years in MLS, and you're still playing, and you didn't know what 5v2 was, and you couldn't make a 4-yard back pass. I'm like, yep. Everyone thought, and you didn't know any pros, and you didn't know any players, and you didn't know how negotiations work. You didn't know agents. You didn't know World Cup. You didn't know nothing. None. Correct. Didn't know anything. None of it.
Okay.
You're still here, and that's the mentality and mindset, and that's what I've been teaching and sharing with everybody along the way. It takes time to learn, or at least you got to listen to me for a little bit. But
definitely.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. So, what was your favorite goal you scored while playing for the San Jose Earthquakes?
For the Earthquakes, I'd have to say the chip goal.
Yeah, I was
there. Oh, yeah, there you go.
Yeah, against Portland. That was fun. I'll give you the backstory on that one, right?
Yeah.
So we're playing. I don't know why specifically Dom gets mad at me, but he's mad at me for something, right? Like he's mad at me, but he's mad at me for not doing well or doing whatever he's wanting me to do, right? But I'm also mad at myself because I'm like, I'm not. I think the one thing that gets most frustrating as a player is like for the most part, when you messed up. The coach like calling you out for it and saying that doesn't necessarily help you, but I do understand why coaches do it, right? So like I messed up. I don't know what it was I did wrong or whatever it was, but Dom got pissed off at me and had some choice words for me about what he said, but I wasn't in the mood and I wasn't having it. And I basically I said something to the effect of like, leave me alone or yeah. I'm trying to think of specifically what I said. It was very like dismissive and it wasn't respectful, right? But that's what I felt the energy coming to me. Like, what are you doing? And I was like, leave me alone, be quiet, right? And I could tell that really pissed him off, right? To the point that he went to the bench. So he's definitely probably talking to the assistant coaches about we're getting him, you know what I mean? We're taking him off at halftime or whatever. And I was like, oh crap. Okay. So then that's where I was like, all right, get your act together. Let's go. And then I went and picked up that ball at midfield, brought that, went up out there, and then chipped it and scored. And then I could see Dom just going at halftime when it's walking off. He was like, "Oh, geez, okay." Well, I was like, "All right, cool. I'm not coming off." So I did something good not to do that. So no, that was fun. That would be that goal would be the one that stands out most.
We had a fan question. I apologize, I'm forgetting the name right now, but they wanted to know: were you aiming for the net? Is that a for sure shot that you knew you were going to make?
Yes. The moment that the moment that like most pros and players will tell you, like you get into the zone, from time to time, and some players can stay in the zone for a lot longer, right? There's moments in time, literally moments in time where you're in time and everything is slowed down relative to you.
Yeah.
And everything is just coming together. So for that one, each sequence and each step and each touch that I was taking, was kind of like hyper focus, and it just kept building upon itself. Cause like right when I picked up the ball, I was like, oh, it went right where I want it to. Then I touched it and right at the angle I want to. Then the angles of Chara coming back is right at the one that I'm wanting to. And then the second touch comes out and I can have a look up. I see Quarces off of it. Then I'm looking at it at the angle. I'm saying, okay, I can go for that back corner. Right. And then when you're coming up and hitting it, right when I hit it, I immediately, that's why I started running off to the side. Cause I was like, that's exactly where I wanted to put it. I'm leaning because I'm going like, don't you dare get a finger to that, and it hits the post, and it's like, oh, the goal that almost was, and right, slapping his fingers at it and just misses it and smacks it in net. I'm just like, yep, let's go, let's go. Yeah, that was a good one. So that one, yes. Trying to think of.
That was probably one of the, I want to say, top 5 goals in Quake's history. I mean, just on pure kind of skill. I think that one I'm not sure if it even won goal of the year because Atlanta was just stuffing the vote, right? That's the problem.
Atlanta
just stuffing.
It didn't win goal of the week.
I think it won goal of
the week. It didn't win goal of the week. In MLS, you want to talk about the U.S. system? Yeah, that didn't even win goal of the week, let alone goal of the year. But that was goal of the week and the month on all the international soccer channels across the world. So
wow,
it's because they're fan votes, right? So I mean, I think maybe Atlanta just made it a tap in win for their own player, like Adam Yon tap in or something.
Yeah, I don't remember who won the weekly one specifically. I know the Colorado Rapids dude, is he lefty? I forgot his name. He was a DP. He scored like a free kick goal.
It's leaving my mind, but I think that year. Okay, so you're saying that one possibly could have won goal of the week.
Well, no, I'm saying that one, I know that one won goal of the year.
Oh, the year. Oh, Kellen Acosta? No.
No.
I know. I do remember that. I forget his name.
All right.
For the clip in the part 1, we put the goal that you had for the Cali Classico. Was that a nice goal that you had?
Which one was that one?
Where you turned and then you hit the ball in the left corner against the Galaxy. I think it was in Carson.
Oh, that was Gerard's.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Exactly. Gerard, was it Steve Gerrard or was it Lampard?
It was Gerard's game against you.
Okay, yeah. So that was his inaugural game or whatever with LA, right?
Exactly. That's exactly it.
Game. Yeah, no, I like that. Assist from Sana Nayasi, and then the other one, the tie was gonna try to take that shot, and I told him to leave it, and then the second one. Yeah, those were fun. Scoring goals, man. Like playing. I enjoy that, but I think what I liked most was the backheel Meg on Robbie Rogers in that game. So so a bunch of I remember all the little times where I'm megging people. I probably remember anything else.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I guess the main thing is no one gives me any credit for any of my skills or anything like that. So no one's talking about
they box you in.
Yeah, bro. He's just a hard worker and athletic. I'm like, okay, yeah, that's it. Whatever. As long as you guys give me an opportunity and a chance, fine. I'll just ignore all the other stuff that I'm doing, right? Okay, cool. That's but yeah, those are the ones that I remember, and I always like shouting out the make. I made Piatti. Love you, Piatti. Yeah, bro. Make this man was so juiced. The smile on my face when that happened. That was when I was with Montreal.
Yeah.
Went straight up to the top of the office and went to the video guy. And that day he had the camera facing the other field by mistake. So,
no.
Yeah, so that's why I'm always hitting up Ken, Daniel, oh man, all the guys in Montreal, and I'm just hey, never forget, bro. That's why as well too.
Right.
Did anybody on the field when you did the chip? Did anybody be like, "Oh my god!" Like any of the players that you, Chara or anybody, say like,
yeah. Well, most of them were just like, you have to, just like Hurtado's goal, right?
Yeah.
Like even when it's scored against you, you just kind of got to go like, when he's running by you, go like, that was pretty decent, bro. That was pretty sick. Like that was pretty sick. Like that was a good one. That was good.
Yeah, I think. I mean, that was for sure the best goal I've ever seen live. I mean, you got me as a fan. That's for sure.
Hey, like that.
We went crazy. I was like, I couldn't even believe you shot that. I was like, what? All right.
You gotta take risks, man.
Yeah, exactly.
Try it. Like whatever. It's the worst thing that happens. I miss it, and then what? Everyone forgets.
Right. Right. But it probably influenced you a bit that you kind of knew you might have been coming off at halftime anyway, right?
Yeah.
Typically, like when it's like dialed in, like, ooh, okay, let's go. You know what I mean? Like, let's show why you're here.
Right.
Right.
Like I like pressure. I think a lot of players, a lot of people don't like pressure. Like, I need it, to be honest. Like that's what I really understand about myself and know about me. Like I'm almost like a masochist. I'm like creating difficult situations for myself on purpose. I know that's what I need to motivate me to do great things or to try things or to take risks or to do whatever, you know?
Yeah.
So like, the experience of a professional athlete is like, it's a roller coaster, and like the things that you learn about yourself and the things that motivate you and how you have to learn to motivate yourself once you've accomplished certain levels of success. Like that's what's most difficult about it. Most people go like, oh, you made it. You can relax and you can chill. And the problem is like, yeah, you made it. And becoming complacent means you will fall.
Right.
So now I'm like, okay, what motivated you to get you here isn't necessarily going to be enough to get you to the next place that you want to go. So constantly challenging yourself and like putting difficult things in front of you on purpose is necessary to get to a very, very high level. And I think most people aren't willing to do that.
Fair enough. All right. So if you were to be given a custom goal celebration song when you scored, what song would you choose?
Oh, song? I thought you guys were going to say celebration dance, like in FIFA, like in EA.
Oh, if you want to go with a dance instead or both, go for it.
I like that one. That was
I'm working on getting the "I'm in Your Head" celebration in FIFA and a mental strength stat, because I think it's necessary.
Yeah.
And theme song for when you score.
Yeah,
because
then Russ's song, "Rent Free."
Oh, I like that
song. Rent Free. And no coincidence that Russ happened to get the idea for that song well after like the MSL took off. I can't wait till people start doing their research, start understanding where all these ideas are coming from. It's gonna be a fun conspiracy ride.
All right.
Well,
will we ever see you at a Quakes game sometime once it's safe to do so?
Yeah, of course. I think if you look at, what was it? Life of a Pro. I don't know which, my old Quake, not old Quakes fans, but Quakes fans who've been around for a while probably are aware of my Life of the Pro vlog that I was doing while I was there. New Quakes fans who may not can go check that out. I did a raffle and a fun giveaway at the Smoking Pig Barbecue across the street from the stadium. And then, like a raffle giveaway to do a fan experience at the game. Just
awesome.
When I was doing my rehab from recovery, I attended the game, so recorded that as well too. So yeah, I enjoy that. I like that stuff. So once it's safe to do so, and I'm in the San Jose area, I'm definitely
awesome.
Definitely run up and down.
Yeah, we'll look forward to seeing you there. Hopefully.
Well, will you? I guess all the Quakes fans that see you, you wouldn't mind if they said what's up to you. I mean,
of course not.
Yeah.
Come on.
All right.
I'm gonna see.
Sounds good.
Be like, hey man, we talked on podcast. What's up, dude?
I'd be like, as long as we'll take a picture and I'm in your head.
Yeah.
Tag it so everyone can be aware. And they can come join the MSL and have some fun. then I'm down.
All right. So which Quicks teammates do you still keep in contact with the most?
Former or current?
It can be.
It can be anyone you played with.
Oh, okay. Well, Danny Husen and I,
Mm-hmm.
he's a good friend of mine. We spend a lot of time, because we're locker mates, as well as Mark Pelosi as well too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I still talk to Mark a lot. Actually, I was just talking with him earlier today.
Wow.
Wow, that's really cool.
Yeah. We started a real estate investment company.
That's what I thought. I saw that.
Yeah, a crypto managed fund, so Leverage Investment Group. We started that like 3 years ago, or was it almost 4 now? We just sold our rental portfolio. We're
Wow.
transitioning a couple of other stuff. So have a really good relationship with him. We've done a lot of like just random niche like business ideas and deals, like just so much stupid stuff. like just anything. Like we're just like
finger toothbrush.
Yeah, well, he's a risk taker just like me, right? Like we're very similar. So like we like to take risk and find out for ourselves. Then like I don't know, I'm not sure. So like we're doing like hard money lending. We're obviously buying and hold rental properties, options, options stuff, options trading, stock market, crypto, like just like whatever came across that we were interested in and wanted to get a part of. We did some angel investing in some startups. One of them is Pathwater. I think Pathwater is doing pretty good out in the Bay Area, right?
Yeah, I just I moved to Japan and I bought one.
Hey,
yeah, that's what's up.
Hey.
Look, it's all coming together, right? It's the Matrix,
right?
It's the path. We're just building the Matrix. We're making the culture. Like,
you know what's funny? I was saying to my wife, this is like the smartest idea I've ever seen. And why hasn't anybody done this? And then it was there, and I guess you did it. It's so funny.
I was involved with the guys who came up with it early on. So we're early investors in that, and a couple of other companies and endeavors. Not everything works out, right? Like there's plenty where you lose a lot of money, or
right.
More importantly, you lose a lot of time. But in those, you learn a lot of lessons. So that's what's helped me just like further refine all the things that we've been working on and doing. And it's cool to see and hear some of the feedback, right? Like, you're Pathwater, you're in Japan, you got it. Okay, that's pretty cool. It took 4 years for that feedback to get back to me, right? So this is great in terms of setting context and accomplishing your goals, or setting out to achieve something that someone hasn't done before, or make a name for yourself. So this is for people who are wanting to do something. Okay, look, we had many conversations. So a lot of work went into my professional career, to get to a point where I can negotiate a contract to generate enough money to then save that money and have it available, and also do enough research and make connections to get to a point where I have a conversation with an individual who has an idea for a company that has the potential to do well, or has potential to go to zero, to then make the decision to make the investment, and then be patient enough to wait 4 years before I hear a positive before I hear feedback of it working from someone else.
Yeah.
Like when you're talking about context of what it takes to be successful, and tying to what we're talking about in terms of the infrastructure to build and make the factory to one-click that bumper sticker.
Yeah.
Yeah. That. So it's like, and you don't know. You know what I'm saying? So like, you're operating a lot on faith, and and a willingness to be open to the fact that you're wrong and take responsibility. And then when you realize you're wrong, optimize and refine your process and try again. But just keep, keep trying, fail, mistake, recognize, self-reflect, keep moving forward. So
the willingness to make mistakes too, right? Because then you learn from them.
Yes. And to engage in conversation. Because look, now think about this. Let's take it even deeper.
Yeah.
You guys are passionate about the Quakes. You've been involved with them for a while. I'm sure you guys have had multiple conversations and spent a lot of time about coming up with the podcast. Even before then, you did a lot of work to learn audio engineering and producing. So that you had the skill set to be able to pull it off. Then you guys started doing it. Then you started publishing it. Then you started reaching out to people.
Right.
Then eventually you connected with me.
Right.
Then we scheduled a time. Then we came together. Now we're having the conversation. And then you did research. And now you're asking me questions. And because I'm sharing my experience with you and I'm sharing, operating in goodwill and good faith and space, kind of like that ethos, we end up making the connection back to Pathwater.
Right.
Which is a company that we're involved in. And you see the connection back to Mark. And that's where I'm like, for me, I'm going like, yo, humanity, we're humanity. We're all interconnected. We're just unaware of how we're connected. That's really all it is.
Yeah,
and
definitely.
If we have enough conversations with each other, you will eventually find a connection, even with the person you hate deeply, that you think is the dumbest person or doesn't know what they're talking about or is in direct opposition to you.
Mm-hmm.
You can find a connection if you guys spend enough time together.
Yep.
You have to be willing to do that. You have to be willing to engage. And not everybody's willing to do that, which is, again, why I come back to saying I appreciate you guys. I value what you're doing. I love the opportunity you're affording me, and I'm appreciative of it.
Yeah, I mean, that's what we're here for. I mean, we're an outlet, and we want to – your voice needs to be heard. I mean, it's pretty evident with us here that you are very knowledgeable and you know a lot, and we're glad we can be a platform for you and for your podcast as well.
Awesome, brother.
Yeah.
All right, so what else have we got? Or am I going to end you guys for, like, part 3?
Yeah, no worries. We have a little bit more about your time after the Quakes and then some fan questions. It's okay if we want to go to we can schedule another day. I apologize. We might have gone.
No, it's all good. I mean, I've got some time right now, so it's okay.
So what we'll do is I'll probably break it up, and we'll keep filming, and then we'll just knock it all out. Okay.
All right. Cool.
All right.
So let's talk a little bit about your time after the Quakes. So so this is another funny question. Any restaurants or point of interest in some other cities that you played in? So anything that really stuck out to you from the other cities that you played in?
Tag restaurant in Denver, Colorado.
Ooh.
Okay. And why? Why is that?
Is it on Market in 22nd or Market in 20th, I think? Or Larimer in 20th? Something like that. Tag restaurant. Yes.
Okay.
And if you guys go there, if everybody who goes there, tell them, I'm in your head. Give me anything on the menu because everything is amazing on it.
Okay.
All right. Yeah, Denver's definitely a place I want to go to.
Okay, definitely check it out. Like, speaking of not knowing how to communicate properly to people at a time, I tried my hardest to convince, persuade, like sell my teammates and my roommates and guys there on buying the condominium that we're living in, or the one like 2 doors down from it, because I was just like, dude, Denver is a gem. Like, there's no way people won't want to end up coming here. And now when I went back, there's so much traffic. Like it's turned into a lot of people are there, like a lot. But still go to Tag Restaurant.
Okay.
And then I think down the street from it, I won't even say the other restaurants because that one 100%. That's the best.
Not worth it.
Yeah, like so good, or at least for me. Me and my wife Serena, our first experience there was amazing, and like every subsequent experience has always been really great. Obviously, the first time is always like the best and amazing, but really good. Like to the point, like sometimes we think about, when you can find like a $99 like last minute ticket, direct flight on like a Southwest or something like that, just to fly there for the day to eat dinner. We haven't done it yet, but we've seriously considered it. So, sorry, that's also making me think I'm totally overselling it to the point that people won't believe it and they're not going to do it.
Right.
And I realized that I did that to my roommates. So Andre, Ross, Stu, Jojo, all these guys, because I had such an amazing experience there and I wouldn't stop talking about it. They being the house of just competitive alpha males, like who just want to crap on each other all the time. Right. Literally said like, yeah, awesome, let's go. We're not going there. So they like made a point for like 2 years to not go. So we'd always like walk by and be like, "Oh, dude, Quincy, it's tag. Yeah, we should totally go." Yeah, we're not going. Let's go. Let's go. Right. So they were missing out, right?
Yeah.
Right.
I remember eventually on a random day, I think once they realized like I was completely over ever like it at all, and they could tell like it didn't affect me anymore, then they're like, "All right, hey, let's go. Let's actually like, let's go." And we went, and they're like, "Wow, that was really, really good." So
what type of food is it?
I couldn't describe what it is, but they've got they've got these sliders where they have like duck fat French fries with like brown sugar. They're super good. Like, I don't know what that would fall under. Then they have like, they've got like cod. They've got this cod. I think like the menu is kind of always changing, but you literally order anything on the menu and it's good. So when I'm there, I'm literally trying anything, just like whatever. And then they have this like, we're spending a lot of time about this. It's almost like,
no worries.
Well, that's okay. Well, I almost feel like I need to call them and get equity in this place because I'm going like, I'm good.
That and UC Davis.
Yes. That cut me a check. Tag and UC Davis. I better get a check in the mail.
Have you thought about going back to UC Davis and like becoming like a, like a alumni that's like involved, or basically
involved in what capacity?
Because you're one of the alumni probably to make it pro there, or maybe one of the only ones, right?
Oh, you mean like with the team?
Right.
That's what I'm saying. Like to do what? To be a professor of mental strength.
You could. I mean, I would think more like come in to speak someday for the team, talk about like mental toughness, things like that.
I like that. Yeah. I think
good idea, Favi.
They need to come and cut that check. Bring me in, bro. Let's go.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
You should. I mean, that's the stage where it's basically all about mental toughness, right? When you have to, maybe a little earlier, maybe high school, but
hey, every stage in life. That's why we focus on it, because it's applicable to everybody. We're upgrading the mentality software of humanity, one conversation at a time. That's why. Well, my main talk and what I do is the 3 S's of self-awareness talk. So if people have not become bored with hearing me talk and would like to know more about how to develop the mentality and kind of like what I do talk about, if UC Davis would want me to come in and do a talk, you go to perfectsoccersskills.com/SSS. I do the 3 S's of self-awareness talk. I did that last year at Bill Hamid's soccer camp, and we at least got a little bit of recording of that. So,
wow,
I'm I'm open to public speaking, and I'm available for that. So,
all right, cool. So along with San Jose and Bakersfield, of course, you lived and played in cities such as Toronto, Denver, Chicago, Montreal, Washington, D.C., and now Las Vegas. Do you have a favorite city or stadium that you enjoyed playing in, or favorite place to live?
I always find something I love about every city that I'm in. And I also find something I absolutely hate, and it's not fun and enjoyable. So
let's talk about the hate ones. Which ones do you hate?
No.
Well, I might have hated while there, but appreciated after, because there's been a lesson learned in every single place that I've been. But I really enjoyed so sounds like my son got in trouble. He's going on timeout. And it depends on like the time in life and who was there and the team and stuff. But I really enjoyed my time in Colorado. I really loved living in Colorado. Especially at that time, it was affordable. You had access to everything. We could walk to like Rocky Stadium, even though I didn't necessarily like baseball. Going was cool,
Yeah.
You could walk to Nuggets. We'd go and watch a lot of the Denver Nuggets games.
Wow.
You could walk, if you wanted, you could walk to the Broncos Stadium.
Wow.
You had there's like a theme park that's right next to the Broncos Stadium that's downtown. You had the aquarium that was downtown.
That's a lot of
that
stuff.
was really cool. Like there's a whole bunch of stuff in Denver. I really enjoyed my time in Denver. You had Tag Restaurant, right? So that was dope. Then I really loved Chicago.
Okay.
I loved the Old Town for like a year and a half, and then I was in South Loop, and in Chicago. That's where I did Quincy time, which was awesome. I didn't live with, but I was roommates with Sean Johnson. I was also roommates with Mike McGee, on the road and stuff like
Mike
that.
McGee, yeah.
Downtown, Alec Can. Ross LeBeau was back there during that time because he's from Chicago originally, and we played together in Colorado. That time was really, that was a great time. Toronto was dope. I wasn't there for too long, but I was living on King Street. And because when I got there originally, the two guys had got cut from the team. They were living in a super baller apartment. So Toronto was already paying for it for the rest of the year. So then I'd like finagled away where I got to stay there in this like dope two bedroom apartment that I definitely could have never afforded at that point in time.
Wait, so how does that happen? Like when Toronto was like, we'll just buy this baller apartment for this super stud or something.
So each contract you technically can negotiate whatever terms that you want, right? But DPs tend to get stuff that other people never have access to, right? So like there's some players who get houses paid for them, but you're not supposed to say anything about that. So just
really? Wow.
Oh man. Oh gosh. Quincy's shared all the secrets. What's gonna happen?
Wait, so okay, so
that's what I'm saying. All contracts are negotiable, right? So everyone says there's rules, but everyone does whatever it is that they want to do until they get caught or don't get caught, or they do get caught and then they just say, well, it doesn't matter. Like, you know what I mean? LA Galaxy needs another DP. Oh, there's another DP.
Yeah.
Now we're up to 4 DPs. There's TAM, there's GAMP. Now there's extra reallocation money. Now there's extra, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's all made up stuff to justify whatever it is that they want to do.
We'll give Chicharito this base salary of $200K, keep him under the DP line, but give him 20 houses in LA. All right.
And we'll do a side deal with this other company. He's going to pay. You know what I'm saying? Like, whatever. Right. It is what it is. I'm not complaining about it. I'm just, the main thing I'm saying, like, hey, what I talk about a lot is like, if you're going to complain about when things don't go well, then you also have to complain about, if you're always complaining about how things are unfair to your disadvantage, you also have to complain about when things are unfair to your advantage.
Right.
So I'm here saying like, hey, all of that, I'm not complaining because I happened to finagle my way into a really dope spot while I was in Toronto.
Yeah.
Right.
So that was cool. Enjoyed my time there. Toronto really has had all the elements and stuff at that time and still do, right? Like stadium, fans, investment, in terms of like money, like everything that you need to have a really well-run organization. Montreal, I really enjoyed my time there. Very family friendly. That's where my wife, my son, they loved it. It was awesome. Just the club provides housing for the players there, which was really cool. So that's awesome, right? The exchange rate is better.
Oh, okay.
So, right. So you're saving money there. Like other people aren't necessarily thinking about all the types of, you know what I mean? Like cost of living is a little bit lower, but also the money that you make per dollar is there. You might lose more money on taxes, but because you're an out-of-state resident, if you do your taxes appropriately, you can get some of that back the following year. Like these are all the little things that you learn, but most people, I'm sharing that because like maybe if you didn't know that, it helps.
I didn't know that. No.
Okay. So Toronto for that. New York, though I wasn't there that long, I was staying with Mehdi Bellucci at that time.
Okay.
For those 2 weeks, and I knew Mehdi from San Jose Earthquakes.
Right.
So Earthquakes player. And I really, really loved my experience at New York. Like I was only there for like 2.5 or 3 weeks, but I felt as though I was a part of that club for at least a year.
Wow.
Like the connections and the bond and that environment was really dope. I really enjoyed that. I was there. I was officially signed for like 1 day, but I probably have talked a lot of praise about the New York Red Bulls in terms of my experience there.
Yeah. Which was the class of the club, definitely.
Yeah, at the time, or maybe more so just the guys in that locker room. I couldn't speak too much to the organization and stuff because I wasn't a part of the organization so long. But the kitmen and the locker room and the guys there at that time, it was dope. Now, when I was coming back the next time, my experience with them was very, very horrible and terrible. And I won't go into too much details on that, but that's where I say, like, you take it with a grain of salt. You know what I mean? Like, at the time, it was really good, and then when I came back, it was really bad.
Well, I mean, we have time. No,
well, I think I told you guys in the last one, the reason why I went and signed with Toronto is because I spoke with Hans Baca. I was going to be the fourth, you know what I mean? Like the fourth there and the starter there. And the idea was, hey, my contract's up at the end of the year. I'll go play in Toronto. Then I'll come back and I'll just re-sign with New York. Right. And it made sense. The plan, I connected with the guys really well. It was really great. That's what I was telling you. I was like, everything was awesome. Then Paul Mariner, got released and became a broadcaster. I came back. Mike Pecky became the head coach, right? And Hans Baca had gotten fired, right? And then when I'm coming back the secondary time, some stuff was promised to me that was to get me there in the first place. Then that's what I'm saying. Like, it turns into all that kind of stuff. And now you're going like, okay, but you're also realizing like different people are at different stages in their experience, and
right.
So all learning lessons. So I'm going through basically every single place, right?
San Jose wasn't on that list.
Yeah, well, I'm coming back around to the second time on San Jose.
Oh, okay.
Through each one, because I said Chicago, but I was in Toronto. Then I'm thinking Montreal's closer, so now I'm going back over to the West Coast. Because the first time, you guys already heard, we weren't at the highest level or anything like that. We were training like a place on the other side. But to me, at that time, hey, it's amazing.
Right.
Everything's amazing. The second time I come back, I'm there towards the last 6 months of my contract, right? Mm-hmm. And I'm joining the Quakes for the last 17 games of the year. During that time, because you never know, right? You're out of contract. You're trying to play out that contract, and you're taking a risk in doing that. But I was betting on myself at that point in time, and I was living in the corner of Sana and Innocent's room. So shout out Sana Nayasi and Innocent Imagara, right? They lived on Santana Row, in a building on Santana Row. So they lived in like a 2-bedroom apartment. And there was maybe I'll find a picture of what my room was, but there was like a corner of the room about the size of a closet. And I put like a twin size bed on it. And
that's awesome.
Things up. And I just, that's how I was living. Saving money and playing for the Quakes for those last 17 games, and preparing for my postseason negotiations, because I was representing myself at the time. So 17 games, 17 starts, I think 6 goals, 4 assists, like 2 or 3 penalties drawn that resulted in a goal. And then that's when I had signed the longer term deal with the Quakes.
So the Quakes didn't offer to even pay for housing at all. You had to you had to walk into that organization and say, hey, like, what's going on? Like, who am I going to live with? You had to be really friendly, right?
Well, I knew Sana. So this is what I'm talking about in terms of, I've played with hundreds and hundreds of teammates, right? So when you show up in a locker room, there's typically a guy that I played with, or I know.
Yeah,
right?
That's good.
Sana is in the locker room then, and when you're first getting traded to a team, when you get traded to a team, they have to pay for your moving expenses for your stuff across wherever it's at.
Yeah.
And you've got 2 weeks in a hotel, and like 21 days in a hotel, and 2 weeks of a rental car.
Wow.
Right. So in those 21 days, you're in a hotel, you're learning the area, you're figuring things out, you're finding your place that you're going to rent or where you're going to live and stuff. Right. But I've done it so many times. I know what to do. I know where I'm at. And in that time, Sana's asking me where I'm living and what I'm doing. And I'm like, I'm thinking about this or that. But San Jose, as you guys know, is extremely expensive.
Right.
And my contract's going to be up in a couple of months. I don't want to sign a long-term lease somewhere.
Yeah.
And then I'm out of contract. I have no income and nothing coming in, but I have to make payment. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think that's one thing that most people aren't fully understanding. Like, there's so much uncertainty, because the moment you sign a year contract means 6 months later, you already are thinking about where you're moving and how you're doing it and what's happening.
That's true.
Right. So like, if you're planning ahead, which I'm always trying to beat the drum for these guys to do, they won't think about that. They'll sign a year lease. Oh, it's guaranteed. I'm going to do amazing while I'm here, and I'm going to sign a big, huge contract, and then everything's going to be okay. But my approach is saying like, well, I'm going to do all the work to make that happen, but I don't want to be here at the end of the road, because I've been at the end of the road enough times where I've done everything you're supposed to do, all the stuff, you check all the boxes, and the person still tells you thanks, but get out of here.
Right.
Yeah. So he had offered, and he had said, bro, don't get a place. Just like, look, put a twin bed there. And Innocent was like, yeah, same. So like, dope. So that's the African connection. So, so Innocent's Nigerian, Sana's Gambian. And I also knew Sana from my time at Colorado. And like, that's like, the African connection. And there is very nice of them. And I really appreciated it. And what was great about that is, I'm staying there, and then at the end of the year, Sana ended up moving on, but he had his lease that he was still having to do for the next 6 months following the year. So because he had helped me out during that time, that's where I transitioned and moved into his room, right? And then covered his portion of rent until he figured out his next move. So like, you build connections, friends. Sometimes you're high, sometimes you're low. It's yeah, man, that's just what it is. So
you lived with Innocent for the rest of your time at the Quakes?
I'm sorry, I'm reading this.
Yeah. So no worries. So you lived with Innocent for the rest of the time you were with the Quakes?
So I was with Innocent until their lease was up. And then what? Yeah, Innocent ended up going back to Switzerland. His time here came up with every player for different reasons. And then my wife and I moved. Where was it? Oh, okay. Yeah, I was trying to make sense. But my wife was in Escondido at that time. So we had our place outside of San Diego. And I was like, why don't you be with me in San Jose? And that's why, because I was living in the corner of that room, right? But she'd come and visit, and the two of us would just be laying in the bed, right? Stuff. Sacrifice, man. You don't know. It's uncertainty.
Right. It's the life of the pro.
Yes. And in the off season, I was back in Escondido. I ended up negotiating my contract, my deal with San Jose. Yeah. Then when we came back, we found a townhome close to Santana Row there. That was awesome. We really enjoyed it. Really liked it. Really close to the facilities. Like a 5-minute drive to the facilities. Yeah. You could walk in a row. Family and friends could come. My sister Kristen played for San Jose State, so that was really cool. For me to be there while she was playing. So like, you're saying like, hey, you left out San Jose. I said, hey, I've been here a long time, got a lot of experiences. I'm getting to San Jose. Yeah. So that was a really great time. Danny Husen and his wife lived close by, so that was really cool. And then Mark. That's really cool. Mark was there as well, and we were working on our other stuff. Unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on how you look at it, I looked at it as fortunately. I blew my knee out, right? And that created a brand new dynamic and experience that, resulted in a lot of growth and understanding. But so that's why I said there's like good times and then like really bad times.
Right.
Good times. Like, so it was up and down. By the time I came back from the injury, the coaching staff, everyone who was there when who had brought me in was gone. Yeah. I wasn't thought of or considered a part of the plan. So when I came back, it's like I'm throwing a wrench into everything. Yeah, exactly. So that created its own issues and stuff that I learned a lot from, and then the trade to Montreal.
Yeah, and so I guess kind of on the ball of transfers, and you got eventually transferred over to DC United. So at DC United, how was it playing with like a legend that's Wayne Rooney, right? How was it playing?
Arguably the biggest name player that you played with in your career.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, no, he'd be the biggest name player that I played with in my career. It was a great experience, man. Like, there are things that make players professional, right? And I really enjoy getting to learn and understand those aspects of players, right? And I'll speak very highly of Wayne till the end of time. He is an individual who I believe is extremely genuine and yeah. I'm trying to think the best way to describe him in the sense of like he's the one player that I played with where I'm just like, yeah, I understand. Finally, I met a guy who understands me in terms of, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, he's crazy. Yeah, I'm crazy too. I'm like, yeah, we're crazy, but like this makes sense, right? And it's like, yeah, what? I'm like, yeah, I don't know. I don't get it, right? But when I get to when I'm saying in terms of like his genuine nature and approaches, is I'm going like, okay, I can see his skill. I can see how he views the game. I can see like his ability, and I'm going like, oh, okay, I understand from that. He's the result of the system that he came from, right?
Right.
So like, he's the accumulation of all the experiences he had going through the system, all the teachings, all the learnings, all the tactics that he was exposed to, right? And then on top of that, the talent that is him and his work ethic and the work that he put into being where he got to. And now I'm here seeing it, right, in real time. Right. And that means I'm also getting to download that experience and that information, you know what I mean, and that perspective and around it day to day, you know? So like that's one aspect just on the playing side. But on the human side, like most people would be of the mindset and thinking like someone who is at that level, who is that high, doesn't need to interact with people, doesn't need to care, doesn't need to build a relationship or develop connections or talk to people or give his time or share his time, right? But I'm someone who greatly appreciates that and values that, and I think that is a very genuine characteristic of him that I don't think is something that he has to do. You know what I mean? Like he chooses to, and where I very much like empathize with him a lot, and is in terms of like doing that creates a lot of issues and problems for yourself that you don't have to partake in, which is why I appreciate it so much more. Right? Like, so he came and joined in on the Ask the Soccer Pro show back earlier in the year, right? Like we had our time together at DC. You know what I'm saying? Like, okay, we're locker mates. Even if you don't, you kind of to a degree, you have to, right? You have to interact with stuff, but he didn't have to speak on behalf of players. He didn't have to attend union meetings with MLSPA. Like I've had teammates and players I've played with for years who've been in MLS the whole time who haven't attended any. And you're talking about this is one of the greatest players of all time who's here. He cares enough about the American system to attend MLSPA meetings and have conversations and try to understand, to make public statements on his platform in support of players and looking for players' rights and trying to point out the ways in which players are taken advantage of because the league can just do that. Like he didn't have to do that. Yeah. He didn't have. And that's why I look like at a guy like Zlatan who came here like a leech on all of this and tried to do all this. But that's why I put him in my little back pocket like a small little child, rent-free, man's head, still in his head. And if you want to be like, oh, you're still talking about that? You still talking about that? You still talking about that? Yeah, you mean the fact that I shut this man down? MSL's greater than MLS. This guy said he was the MLS, and he met the MSL. And I creeped into his head. I creeped into his head and made him a bed and then just set up camp. And then we started building infrastructure and skyscrapers, and we're just giving out rent free to everybody. Yeah, we're still talking about that because we're still building there. And that's still free, and it will be free forever. I'm going to sell them in your head, and you know it.
All right.
100% of the time, he's lost to me. So think about that. Think about that. Everyone says, oh, but he's beaten this, he's won this, and he's gone here, and he's done that. It's like, okay, so he's gone all those places. He's done all those things, right?
Right.
And then he went up against me, and he lost. So that means I beat all of them? So what do I need to go
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's rock, paper, scissors.
There we go. I win. There we go. But yeah.
All right. So
what was the question? What were we talking about?
how it was like bring Wayne Rooney, but you explained it. He was very
but that's what I'm saying. So like for me, that's how. So like tying it together for me, that's what I'm saying. That's how much I appreciate him and what he did, because he came and he invested in us. He saw how we were taken advantage of, and he didn't take advantage of the players. Right.
Right.
That I could see how that affected him. It makes it difficult and hard because you're seeing what it is. You're acknowledging it. Right. You're processing it.
Right.
Whereas the other spectrum is exploiting it and taking advantage and investing nothing, just being a leech, which is why I speak so highly of Wayne. And I'm in the head of Zlatan, and he's a small child in my back pocket. That's the spectrum of it. That's why I appreciate him, and I always speak highly of him until the end of time. I appreciate what he did, and I don't think most people will understand what he did and how he helped and advocated on behalf of players in the U.S. soccer system for several years. But I will do my part to make sure people know and people understand. And when I have an opportunity like this to speak on it, I speak very highly of him.
That's awesome.
Because he didn't have to.
Yeah.
And that's why it's so massive in my opinion. But sorry, I know that was.
If Wayne is listening to this, nah.
Never know.
Yeah, I don't know how Zlatan is able to play in AC Milan in Italy when he's in your pocket, but I guess he can teleport. But anyway, that was a fun answer.
Look, here's the deal, right? When you're playing FIFA, are you in the game controlling the guy, or you just got a controller sitting here doing it remotely from outside the TV?
Oh.
When you're up in outer space, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yep. Controlling remotely via satellite, right? So I'm tapping into this man's brain. That's how I do it. But I appreciate that. That was a good question.
That. No, thank you.
All right. So the next question is, what did you most look forward to in your return with Las Vegas Lights FC? Other than obviously like you get to play more soccer, what was it about this particular experience that seemed promising to you?
I think the approach of the owner. Like he's not afraid. He's not afraid to have his brand of him and his team, what he's doing, and I wanted to see what that's about.
Okay.
So I was interested, and I mean, yeah.
Were you getting any other offers from any other teams that you were possibly thinking of too?
Yeah. So like, there's always like little rumblings here and there, and I talk about it on the show. So like, nothing's real until there's a contract in hand or a contract offered or whatever. And just like we talked about, like the pros of being in Montreal, right? Like, hey, you get more money on the conversion, but also if you convert back to dollars, you lose more money and the taxes and stuff like that. Like sometimes you're getting an offer, but when you add it all up, you're not making any money or you're losing money, right? You get part of it. And not all offers are good offers, or not all offers, you know what I'm saying? And we're also in the middle of a pandemic. So like the fundamental way in which clubs and organizations were changing how they make decisions happened in the middle of my free agency year as well too. So like conversations that were being had now are completely like off the table. And then at my age on paper, then the focus goes now to younger, because now all the clubs, you think about it, all the clubs and organizations have been probably spending way more money than they should have. And they can point to a bunch of times they made investments that didn't pan out and didn't play out. So now there's more accountability coming from top down, like owners saying like, listen, you can't just be spending all this money. You need to justify where the money's going and why. And as that starts happening, owners start to look at it more from an investment perspective, which now means they want a time horizon for a return on their investment. They see the players as an investment of their money. The older you get, the less time they see to recoup. And if they're only looking at it a dollar perspective, players like me start to not be as valued.
Right.
But if you see that coming and you're predicting for that, then you can also prepare for that, knowing that they'll overcorrect, because that's usually what happens. And there's massive value in the American veteran player because of their access to experience and their perspective.
Yeah, definitely in MLS.
Yes.
And in USL.
Correct. Yes, MLS and USL. And the more guys you squeeze out because it's not affordable for them to play, they go into other industries, other paths of life, right? If you're noticing, or I don't know if people are noticing yet, when you're seeing like the 28s to 30s, especially at this time, 26, 27-year-olds to like 31, were like all retiring early. If you started noticing like, hey, there's a bunch of guys that are just retiring, right? Kind of before, like a Harry Shipp retired.
Right.
Who else retired in Houston? Like there's this, what was his name? I think anyway, my main point is guys see that there's no future, no path. So they're going like, spend 2 years, 3 years doing this, or cut my losses now and go put 2 or 3 years and have some more resume in another industry for post-career and stuff.
Yeah.
So I say all that to really say that just because they don't value it and they're not investing in it doesn't mean it's not valuable and vitally important and won't give you a massive advantage. But the thing is, you have to be available and ready when that time happens.
Right.
So you're outlasting your competition.
Right.
So when you ask me like, well, what did you see with this and where you at? I was like, well, I see an owner who's not afraid to try new things and not have to fit whatever predefined cookie cutter stuff that, the U.S. soccer system has decided is the only metric of success, the only metric of value, the only metric of, whatever. So, that's where I'm at. I really got a great experience, been here for a little while, and we'll see what comes of this or everything coming into next year.
Perfect.
Right. What do you think of the way that this USL season was organized? Essentially was an expanded version of what the MLS's back tournament attempted to do, where they split every team into 8 groups of 4 or 5 teams each, and then the top 2 from each group, like the World Cup, they advance to the playoffs, and then the playoffs have begun as normal as of last weekend. And do you think that the growth of USL could increase conversations surrounding promotion and relegation?
Okay, I can't. You threw a whole bunch of stuff in there, making it seem like a simple question that you can answer in 30 seconds. But I understand what you're asking, and hopefully I try to make it more concise.
Right.
I think it says an awful lot that USL was able to continue to play through a pandemic. Do I think it should have, being here and seeing where it's at? Like, right? Like, that's debatable, but I'll only say debatable because I haven't spent enough time to fully understand the history, the financials and all that kind of stuff, right? Like,
yeah,
I'd be speculating, and it's a guess because I couldn't honestly say. But what I can say is that USL, the level and standard of USL today is higher than the standard of MLS when I came back in 2009. Right. So
wow. Okay.
Yeah. So like when I'm here with the guys on the road, so it's kind of like coming full circle again, right? I'm going like, okay, I'm starting back over. Hey, I'm at the USL level. Here's all these guys, 20 to 24 years old, some 26, 27, haven't really made it or spent a year or 2 at the MLS level, but have been at the USL level. And then other guys who are just coming out of college and now like this is their first professional run at it. You're also seeing what they're complaining about, what they think the standard should be or is or isn't, and what should work and doesn't and how, right? But you get to see what they're saying.
Yeah.
In the locker room, having, the over decades experience at the level that many are wanting to get to and be at, right? So everyone has their own idea as to what it takes to get there and what it takes for them and why they have or haven't made it and all that. And it's interesting to hear. But the one thing that I shared with them and told them is I said, look, you guys, we have a chartered bus taking us. Yeah, okay, we're driving 4 hours to go to a game and we should be flying, right? But we have a chartered bus. Like we're driving vans and we had to drive the vans ourselves. when we were starting.
Yeah.
You know, so like there's very high quality food that is being given, and you're also saying we're in the middle of a pandemic, and this is the standard. You know what I mean? So it's not. I know it's not the highest of standards, but I'm going like, there's no fans in the stadium. There's no income being generated by the organization, right? It's not like USL has a huge, massive TV deal. You know, I'm saying all things considered, and we still have a lot of the things that we have, which is just as much, if not more, than what we had when I was with Quakes back in 2009.
Wow.
Right. I'm saying like that's a huge testament to how far we've come in soccer in America. Like, yeah. So I come back thinking that similar to my first experience at Quakes, like tying it full circle, like, wow, whoa, it's whoa again. Cause I'm like, wow, it's farther along than when I started.
Right.
This is the second tier. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So wow, this is amazing. Like this is dope. So I'm getting to experience it from like a different perspective this time and a higher level of understanding. Specific to then tying that into what you're expressing with regard to promotion relegation.
Mm-hmm.
I believe a hybrid model of pro rel makes the most sense to make it work, but I do not believe that will come anytime soon.
Of course not. Yeah.
Because it just doesn't make business sense. I don't even think it should come. Even though I think a hybrid model pro rel should come, I don't think it should come anytime soon because the market hasn't matured to the point to be able to sustain that. You know what I'm saying? Like, like you're to do that and introduce it means you're completely undercutting a lot of owners who've come in and invested a lot of money in infrastructure and franchise fees. I mean, it doesn't mean that I agree with the single entity system and how it works or how it functions. Right. But I do believe it was necessary for us to get here because how could you deny the results of what's happening? And then that takes us into do the ends justify the means and all that kind of stuff. The philosophical debate we could have at the end of the day. The point is it happened. It's here. It's single entity. This is where we're at. It is better than when we started. Has it been on the backs and taking advantage of many players to get here? Yes. We need to acknowledge that. And that's the problem when we don't acknowledge it. Right. And me acknowledging it and being a player who's had many experiences to see how we've been taken advantage of, and I can articulate that and explain that to individuals.
Right.
Is standing here saying that pro rel is something that I think makes sense once there's enough money from huge sponsors that are throwing in to do that. Because even talking with Wayne, that's where I'm learning about like parachute money when you fall from the Prem down to the championship and all that kind of stuff. Like there's mechanisms. Yes. So there you go. Like parachute money. So there's a lot of stuff. People say pro rel. So you invest $300 million in Nashville to franchise the team, and everyone knows that most expansion teams don't do too well. And that's only going to probably be more the case unless you're like an LAFC who is super experienced, right? Has a huge budget. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Now you're saying like put $300 million and all that stuff in there, and then now because you didn't make it, now you're dropping down to the USL level and you're competing at the USL level. Outside these things, just like that's why I said this is a heavy question.
No worries.
It is tough to get through everything, but I just want to get a little bit of a sense of how you feel that this league is doing, and I feel like you have answered what I was looking for in that you saying that USL Championship, the division that you play in with Las Vegas Lights, its level of soccer now is at the level of MLS was in 2009, shows how incredibly well that this league has grown. And I think it shows that with the right set of circumstances, maybe it has to be like a big bang sort of thing that for it to happen in the near future, that there could be promotion and relegation possible. And that's what I believe. The more I follow the USL, especially maybe I'm a little bit biased because I live in San Diego and we got a USL team, but I do think that the possibility of promotion relegation is there. It'll take a lot of work, but I'm definitely not in the camp of like, oh, the United States will never allow promotion relegation to happen because the NFL does things like this and NBA does things like that and NHL and all these things. But yeah, thank you for that. And
before we get into the fan questions, I looked up the Tag restaurant in Colorado and it's a sushi restaurant with American food as well. So I guess it's like American sushi fusion, Japanese fusion, right?
Okay, so that's why I was like, I couldn't describe it because I wouldn't say like, I wasn't there ordering. I know they have like some sushi dishes, but
yeah,
the main courses and stuff isn't sushi. So
right, it's like fish and like
yep, so good.
Yeah, it looked good. That's for sure. For all you guys listening,
right?
Look it up.
Today's episode is sponsored by Tag Restaurant.
Yeah, UC Davis.
So
UC Davis and
I'm gonna work on getting Quincy Amarikwa to speak at UC Davis's graduation. Like, what are you doing? All right. Well, that wraps it up for us today.
Yeah.
I wanna thank you, Quincy, for your time.
Thank you so much
for all your insight and everything that you got for us, and I truly do appreciate that. We'll definitely we'll ask you to be on many more times if you have the time for us.
Right.
Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let me know the feedback from this, and I'm glad that we got to wrap everything up. Again, apologize on how.
No, trust me. Don't feel bad. Don't feel bad for who you are, Quincy. Come on.
Oh, never that. Never that.
Yeah. All right. Well,
thank you.
Go Quakes, right? So we'll see how they do tonight.
Go Quakes.
But we appreciate it. Take care, Quincy.